Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues and distinguished guests, I extend my warmest welcome to each of you gathered here today, in the hallowed halls of the Library Sanctus. We find ourselves amidst ancient tomes and relics of knowledge, and it is both an honor and a privilege to stand before you and share insights into one of the most ancient races that traverse the vast expanse of our galaxy, the Craftworld Aeldari. As we delve into their history, woven with threads of triumphs and tragedies, let us cast our minds across the cosmos to the elegant and intricate floating realms of the Craftworlds. These colossal, planetoid-sized vessels are more than mere spacecraft. They are sanctuaries, arcs of preservation, and embodiments of a civilization that once stood at the pinnacle of galactic dominion. Imagine the time before the cataclysmic fall, when the Aeldari Empire was a beacon of enlightenment and progress. The Craftworlds were then magnificent starships, housing communities of Aeldari who traversed the stars. They engaged in trade and exploration, their journeys taking them to the farthest reaches. These voyages, spanning centuries, cultivated a spirit of independence and self-reliance within the Craftworld communities, setting them apart from the heart of the Eldari civilization. When the ominous clouds of the fall gathered, the Craftworlds became arcs of hope and salvation. The seers, those Eldar gifted with foresight, foresaw the impending disaster and orchestrated a mass exodus. As we explore their journey, culture, and spirit, let us remember that the story of the Craftworld Aeldari is a saga etched in the stars, one that perhaps humanity can learn from. Before the birth of Slaanesh tore asunder the reality we know, the Eldari Empire stood stalwart, a civilization that had reached the zenith of its power and enlightenment. In this golden age, the Craftworlds were not the sanctuaries of survival that they are known as today, but rather magnificent vessels of exploration and trade. These starships, created from the psychoactive substance known as wraithbone, were manifestations of the Eldari's mastery over the material and psychic realms. They were colossal self-contained communities, housing families, scholars and artists, all contributing to the richness of their culture. The Eldar of this era were beings of grace and intellect, with lifespans stretching over millennia, allowing them to perfect arts, sciences, and psychic disciplines. The Craftworlds, in their voyages across the stars, served as both carriers of culture and explorers of the unknown. They ventured far beyond the boundaries of the Aeldari Empire, trading and engaging with countless civilizations, learning and growing with each interaction. The Craftworlds became bastions of tradition and integrity, holding fast to the ancient ways of the Eldar. Their seers, gifted with foresight and wisdom, began to sense the darkening shadow on the horizon, a storm threatening to extinguish their civilization. And so, with heavy hearts and a sense of impending doom, the Craftworlds prepared for the unthinkable. They opened their arms to those who sought to escape the corruption, gathering artworks, relics, and remnants of their once glorious culture. They became the custodians of Aeldari heritage, preserving the essence of their civilization against the coming darkness. And then, the unimaginable happened. The psychic shockwave of Slaanesh's birth tore through the galaxy, a maelstrom of chaos and destruction. Some Craftworlds were lost to this cataclysm, while others were flung into distant corners of space, their fate sealed by the tragedy that had befallen their people. The crux of their salvation from Slaanesh lies in the Spirit Stones. These are not mere jewels, but wondrous creations crafted from wraithbone, found on the Crone Worlds, ancient Aeldari planets now lost in the Eye of Terror. These stones are attuned to the soul of the wearer from the moment of their birth, creating a unique bond that is both profound and sacred. Upon the death of an Eldar, their soul is drawn into the Spirit Stone, instead of being claimed by the Warp, where it would inevitably become prey to Slaanesh. These stones are then carefully placed within the infinity circuits of the Craftworlds, vast psychic matrices which cradle and protect these countless souls. This is not the end of their journey, however. Within these infinity circuits, the souls of the departed Eldari coalesce into a collective consciousness, a Gestalt entity of wisdom and memory. This cooperative serves not only as a repository of the Craftworld's ancestral knowledge and culture, but also acts as a bulwark against the psychic predations of Slaanesh. In times of dire need, these souls can even be temporarily housed in wraith constructs, towering wraith lords or nimble wraithguard, allowing them to defend their kin from the material realm. These constructs are a poignant reminder of the Aeldari's plight. Even in death, they are bound to the defense of their people. Yet in the face of adversity, the Craftworlds endured. They became sanctuaries of Aeldari culture, each craftworld evolving its unique way of life, while still holding true to their ancestors' ancient traditions and values. The Craftworlds themselves transformed into bastions of psychic and technological might. Wraithbone, the psycho-reactive material from which the Craftworlds were constructed, resonated with the psychic energy of their inhabitants. This energy was harnessed, flowing through the Infinity Circuit, a Wraithbone network connecting every aspect of the Craftworld, from its towering spires to the most minor habitation units. As the millennia passed, the Craftworld Aeldari emerged as a mysterious and enigmatic presence in the galaxy. They fought against the forces of chaos, the Imperium of man, and any who dared to threaten the remnants of their civilization. Yet, they also stood as allies to those who shared their vision of a galaxy free from the tyranny of chaos and the darkness that had consumed their own kin. They continued their eternal vigil, the Craftworlds drifting through the vastness of space, carrying with them the hopes, dreams, and the undying spirit of the Aeldari. The Craftworlders, while united in their common ancestry and the shared cataclysm of their past, have diverged over the millennia into factions as distinct from each other as the myriad worlds of our own Imperium. A multitude of colossal starships, each a realm unto itself, sailing the void of space, each craftworld cultivating its own unique garden of culture and tradition. Take, for example, Ulthwé, a craftworld known for its proximity to the Eye of Terror. The Aeldari of Ulthwé live under the constant shadow of chaos, and this proximity has shaped them in profound ways. Their warriors are grim and resolute, well-versed in the arts of war, while their seers possess foresight sharpened to a razor's edge, a necessity in these dark times. Ulthwé has become a bastion of psychic might and martial prowess, standing as a bulwark against the encroaching forces of chaos. Contrast this with Biel-Tan, the Swordwind, where the martial traditions of the Eldari are not just preserved, but exalted. The warriors of Biel-Tan are the epitome of Eldari artistry and war, their aspect warriors and guardians embodying the fury and grace of ancient heroes. Biel-Tan is a craftworld with a vision, a dream of rekindling the glory of the lost Eldari Empire, and they pursue this vision with a zeal that is both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Then there is Iyanden, a craftworld that has stared into the abyss and emerged scarred, yet unbroken. Once a powerhouse of Eldari civilization, Iyanden faced calamity after calamity, its population dwindling to a mere shadow of its former glory. Yet in this crucible of loss and despair, the Eldari of Iyanden found strength in endurance and resilience. They turned to the spirits of their ancestors, housed in the ghostly wraith constructs, to stand alongside the living. In Iyanden, the past and the present walk hand in hand, a testament to the unbroken chain of Aeldari legacy. And we must remember Saim-Han, the Wild Riders, who embody the untamed spirit of the Eldari. Their Wild Rider clans roam the stars, their swift jet bikes and skimmers a blur of speed and precision. Saim-Han holds dear the ancient ways of the Eldari, their bonds with their kin and the natural world a vital part of their identity. They are a craft world of passion and freedom, living life with a fervor that burns bright in the darkness of the galaxy. Each craft world, a realm unto itself, has cultivated its own way of life, its own interpretation of the ancient Aeldari ways. They are as diverse as the worlds of our Imperium, each with its own customs, philosophies, and methods of war. Yet despite their differences, they are bound by the common thread of their ancestry, the shared tragedy of their past, and the resolve to preserve the legacy of the Aeldari against all odds. The ships themselves are a marvel of engineering and psychic artisanship, a harmonious blend of technology and craftsmanship that is unparalleled across the known galaxy. These immense ships, often comparable in size to a small planet or a moon, drift through the cold void of space, carrying with them the remnants of the Eldari civilization. At the heart of a craftworld's construction is Wraithbone, which is the cornerstone of Eldari technology. Wraithbone is more than a mere material. It is a conduit for psychic energy, shaped and molded by the Aeldari bone singers' psychic songs. It is alive in a sense, responsive to the thoughts and desires of its creators, giving the Craftworlds the unique ability to repair and reshape themselves over time. The structure of a Craftworld is organic in design, sprawling with towering spires, domed cities, and lush verdant gardens that defy the sterility of space. The interior is a labyrinth of corridors, chambers, and halls, each reflecting the aesthetics and philosophies of its inhabitants. They are self-sustaining ecosystems, complete with artificial atmospheres and cycles that mimic day and night, allowing the Aeldari to preserve not just their lives, but their way of life. In terms of firepower and defense, a Craftworld is no slouch. These vessels are equipped with formidable armaments, capable of defending themselves against most threats they encounter in the galaxy. Their primary defense lies in their sophisticated holofields and energy shields, which can diffract and absorb incoming attacks, making them incredibly difficult targets to hit, let alone destroy. Despite their might and majesty, Craftworlds are not invulnerable. They are relics of a bygone era, each loss a devastating blow to the dwindling Eldari race. The Craftworlds traverse the galaxy not as conquerors, but as survivors, ethereal monuments to both the triumphs and the tragedies of the Eldari people. The Eldari of the Craftworlds, or the Asuriani as they call themselves, are a people shaped by tragedy and loss. Their way of war is a reflection of their existence, precise, elegant, and devastatingly effective. It is an art form honed over millennia, born from the need to survive in a galaxy that has grown hostile to their kind. To comprehend their approach to combat, one must first grasp the concept of the path. Each Eldari upon a Craftworld follows a path, a way of life that defines their societal role. This is no mere profession. It is a complete dedication of body, mind and soul to perfecting a single aspect of their being. The path of the warrior, followed by those known as the aspect warriors, is particularly interesting. These warriors embody the various facets of their war god, Kala Mensha Kane. Each aspect shrine represents a different aspect of warfare, from the swift and deadly howling banshees to the stoic and implacable fire dragons. In battle, these aspect warriors come together in a symphony of destruction, each complementing the other, forming a versatile and adaptable force to any threat. Their commanders, known as autarchs, are masters of strategy and tactics, having walked several paths, including that of the warrior. Their insight into the various aspects of warfare allows them to orchestrate their forces with a precision that few can match. Their fleets, elegant and deadly, mirror their approach on the ground. Swift starships like the Void Stalker or Shadow Cruisers provide fire support and rapid troop deployment, ensuring their warriors are where they need to be at the crucial moment. Make no mistake, the Eldari are not numerous. Each life is precious, a fact reflected in their tactics. They strike hard and fast, aiming to win through skill, speed and foresight, rather than brute force or overwhelming numbers. Theirs is a dance of death, a fleeting shadow that strikes without warning and disappears just as quickly. But the true strength of the Craftworlds lies in their mastery of psychers. Their farseers and warlocks wield powers that can turn the tide of battle, foreseeing enemy movements, bolstering their warriors, or unleashing devastating psychic attacks. In their hands, the very fabric of reality can be twisted to serve the Craftworlds. The Eldari's military engagements are not mere skirmishes or battles. They are the culmination of foresight and planning that often spans decades, even centuries. Their farseers, gifted with the ability to gaze into the future, play a crucial role in their military campaigns. These seers map out the strands of fate, guiding their kin away from doom and toward victory. It's a level of strategic planning that is almost unimaginable to the human mind. They prefer not to engage in prolonged warfare. Their tactics are designed for swift, decisive strikes. They are masters of hit-and-run tactics, ambushes, and surgical strikes. Their war hosts do not march to battle in lumbering formations. They strike like a storm, suddenly and with devastating effect, only to disappear as quickly as they arrived. Mobility is key in their operations. Their vehicles, like the nimble jet bikes and sleek grav tanks, grant them unparalleled speed and agility on the battlefield. These machines are not only transports, but are also formidable weapons platforms, capable of delivering lethal firepower with precision. Furthermore, the Eldari's understanding of the webway allows them to outmaneuver their foes with ease. They can strike from directions thought impossible, bypassing fortifications and natural barriers, to hit their enemy where they are weakest. However, do not mistake their finesse for a lack of ferocity. When the Aeldari do choose to engage directly, they are terrifying. Each aspect warrior is an expert in their chosen form of combat, be it the silent kill of the striking scorpion or the devastating firepower of the Dark Reaper. In battle, they embody the war aspects of their god, each aspect warrior becoming an avatar of death in their own right. And let us not forget their most deadly assets, the avatar of Cain, a living god of war, and the Wraith constructs. These towering constructs, housing the spirits of their dead, are nigh unstoppable on the battlefield, capable of turning the tide of battle single-handedly. The Craftworlders are a force like no other in the galaxy. Their way of war is a blend of ancient tradition, psychic might, and strategic foresight. They are artists of the battlefield, painting a picture of war in strokes of skill and precision. Their warriors do not simply train, they become the avatars of war's many aspects. Each aspect shrine trains its adepts in a singular style of combat, reflecting Cain's multifaceted nature. Consider the Howling Banshees, their aspect derived from Cain's scream of rage and defiance against death. They are swift and lethal, their banshee masks amplifying their war cries into soul-shattering screams. Then, there are the Dire Avengers, epitomizing the stoic defense, the first line against the enemy, with disciplined volleys from their shuriken catapults. And we cannot forget the Fire Dragons, masters of destruction, wielding melter weapons to annihilate armored foes, or the Shadow Spectres, ghostly figures who strike unseen, their prism rifles sowing death from the shadows. But remember, the path is also a safeguard. It prevents the Aeldari from losing themselves to the warlike nature they embrace. The ritual donning and removal of the aspect warrior's armor signifies not just a physical change, but a psychic one. When an Aeldari removes their war mask, they step back from the brink, returning to the balance of their path until they don their armor once again. The aspect paths are thus both a weapon and a shield for the Aeldari soul, a necessary dichotomy in their eternal war against the darkness within and without. They are warriors supreme, yes, but also pilgrims on a path of spiritual and emotional discipline, forever walking the razor's edge between salvation and destruction. We find ourselves entwined in a complex exchange with the Craftworlds. These interactions, often as turbulent as the warp itself, offer a fascinating glimpse into the relationship between our mighty Imperium and these ancient star-faring beings. Take, for instance, the tale of Craftworld Aeldari. Positioned perilously close to the Eye of Terror, Aeldari has long stood as a bulwark against the horrors that spill forth from that maelstrom of chaos. There have been instances, whispered in the hallowed halls of Terror, where the seers of Aeldari have foreseen threats to not just their existence, but to entire sectors of Imperial space. In such rare moments, our paths have converged, as Aeldari and human forces have stood shoulder to shoulder against a common enemy, be it the demonic hordes of chaos or the insatiable swarms of the Tyranids. Yet we must tread carefully around such tales of the Alliance, for the Aeldari are as fickle as the winds of fate they claim to follow. Another poignant example is found in the history of Craftworld Aeldari. Once a mighty craftworld, Aeldari's near destruction at the hands of Hive Fleet Kraken would have spelled doom for countless Imperial worlds, had it not been for the intervention of the Ynnari, a faction of the Aeldari dedicated to their god of the dead, Ynnad. The Ynnari's actions while saving Aeldari inadvertently shielded Imperial worlds from the Tyranid menace. However, the Aeldari's motivations were far from altruistic, driven by their prophecies and the cryptic agendas of their gods. But let us not be swayed into thinking these interactions are always born of necessity against a more significant threat. There have been darker times when the Craftworlds have turned their ire directly upon the Imperium. The Bieltan Craftworld, with its aggressive and expansionist tendencies, has often clashed with the Imperial forces in a bloody contest over Maiden Worlds. The Bieltan took it upon itself to liberate the Maiden World of Razilena from Imperial control. In a display of both strategic acumen and sheer power, Bieltan successfully engaged and defeated 10 Space Marine chapters and 2 sector fleets of the Imperial Navy. This remarkable feat underscores not only the military capabilities of the Craftworld Aeldari, but also their deep-seated commitment to protecting and reclaiming the worlds they consider sacred. Or the Battle of the Blood Nebula. In this engagement, the Imperial battle fleet met its match against the sophisticated technology and psychic prowess of the Craftworlds forces. The Aeldari's mastery of void warfare, coupled with their advanced weaponry and tactics, led to the complete annihilation of the Imperial fleet. This catastrophic defeat was a significant blow to Imperial pride and military might, prompting a strategic shift in the Imperium's approach to dealing with Craftworlds. Henceforth, the Imperium chose to avoid direct confrontations with these enigmatic entities unless absolutely necessary, recognizing the disproportionate cost of such conflicts. In these conflicts, the Aeldari strike swiftly and without mercy. The aftermath of such encounters often leaves once thriving human colonies in ruin. The Aeldari Craftworlds, with their labyrinthine halls and psychic tapestries, stand as a poignant reminder of the impermanence of greatness. They are the remnants of a race that once dominated the stars, now reduced to nomadic sanctuaries, safeguarding the fragile flame of their culture against the howling dark of a universe filled with peril and strife. As we, the Imperium of Man, forge our own path among the stars, often crossing blades with the denizens of these craftworlds, we must remember the lessons their history imparts. The Aeldari's rise and fall serve as a solemn warning of the hubris that comes before a downfall, the perils of excess, and the inexorable decay that time imparts on all civilizations, no matter how advanced or powerful. In the grand tales of the galaxy, the Aeldari Craftworlds are a fading hue, yet their resilience and their struggle for survival in a universe that grows ever more hostile are a testament to the enduring spirit of a people unwilling to succumb to the annals of history quietly. Their story is one of loss and redemption, of clinging to identity in the face of oblivion, of the battle not just for survival, but for preserving a culture's very soul. As we conclude this lecture and return to our own duties within the vast Imperium, let us carry with us the understanding that the galaxy we navigate is a place of endless wonders and ancient mysteries. The story of the Aeldari Craftworlds is but one chapter in this cosmic saga, a chapter from which we can learn much, even as we stand vigilant against the threats they may pose.